The stock doing well, sorry. The Solyndra scandal, certainly shedding light on the solar industry and putting green energy in focus. Are these alternative energy sources, though, all they're cracked up to be? Or have we and the government made too much out of myths? Well, joining us from Austin, Texas is Robin Bryce. He's a senior fellow with the Manhattan Institute and also author of Power Hungry. Robert, thank you for joining us. I was going through your notes. Very interesting indeed. You basically say these these alternative sources of energy, somewhat of a myth. They're a lot of money for little, you get little bang for your buck, and they certainly don't create jobs. Is that right?
Well, let's talk about solar first. You've thrown a lot at me there, Ashley, but I'm a believer in solar. I have solar. I live in Austin here. I have solar panels on the roof of my house, 3,200 watts of solar panels. But why did I put them on my house? Because the city of Austin paid 2/3 of the cost. So I'm as dependent on subsidies for solar as anyone else. But if you talk about Solyndra, if you talk about the solar industry as a whole, or even the renewable sector as a whole, the problem really isn't Solyndra, even the bad press associated with that company. Rather, the structural problem is the low-cost natural gas, which is now selling for about $3.50 per million BTUs. They can't compete with gas at that price.
Well, we also don't, I mean, doesn't the government subsidize oil as well?
Well, and we hear about that continually about, these unconscionable subsidies for the oil and gas sector. But if you look at the EIA's own data, they show that the subsidies for solar and wind are several hundred times greater than those given to oil and gas when you measure it on the amount of energy that's created. And that's where a fair comparison is made on a per BTU basis produced.
So what are the fuels of the future in your mind?
Well, clearly for the United States, it's going to be natural gas. I'm also adamantly pro-nuclear, but right now in the U.S. in particular, nuclear has been priced out of the market. Why? Because if you talk to people in the nuclear sector, they'll say that they need natural gas to be at $8 or more for nuclear to be competitive. Right now, even coal is being priced out of the market by low-cost natural gas.
Is the natural gas system in our country developed enough where people could really start using it? I mean, you can get a cab in Las Vegas that runs on natural gas, but, the kind of, stigma, people in their house, if they smell gas, immediately it's a negative. So is the public really ready for that transformation?
Well, look, about a quarter of all the energy consumed in the United States comes from natural gas. About 20 to 25% of the electricity produced in the United States comes from natural gas. You're asking a question about transportation fuel. I think the transition or the adoption of natural gas as a transportation fuel is going to be very gradual for a lot of reasons. One, we don't have adequate refueling infrastructure, and then there's the energy density of the fuel on board the vehicle. We use gasoline and diesel fuel because they are very energy dense. They contain a lot of heat energy per unit of volume or per unit of weight. Natural gas is more difficult to compress, therefore doesn't contain as much energy per unit of volume.
Very interesting. We're already out of time. I apologize for that. Robert Bryce, he's author of Power Hungry. Very interesting. We'd like to have you come back. And my thanks also for Tracy Burns for joining us, who has to leave now because she'll be hosting the web show right at the top of the hour.